Memories, nostalgia, reminiscent thinking, they're very powerful, emotive thought processes that we often reflect on as we get older and older in our lives about the opportunities we had, the things we buggered up and missed, and the best parts of our life, I would say, as well. And this is what An Everyday Story aims to explore in its story-driven puzzle platformer on a 2.5D plane. This game sees you playing as someone basically looking back over their life, thinking about all of those things that I mentioned, and you then play them through the 3 different trinkets that come to life as they explore their diary of their life. One is a bat origami that is able to do big jumps and wander around and float a little bit. The second one is a tin soldier that's able to jump, fire a plunger like a gun, which I thought was quite cute, and they've also got a hook that allows them to hook onto sky things and then swing and do a big jump across platform gaps. And then there's a wooden boat that's able to take on the water as well as the land, but also has a hook that allows them to hook onto things and then pull them. And that's handy for, say, if there's a half-open window, you can hook onto it and then pull it down to open it to progress. You don't play with these 3 trinkets in the same level. Each level is designed around that specific trinket, and you'll play them each in turn, kind of rotating round the 3 constantly. And so that provides a really interesting mix of gameplay, because each level is designed around that specific character. And it means that there's quite a lot of variety, and you'll never really get too bored of playing with one character over another. They do start to blend together, though, because it's the same type of things that each character can do, but just doing it slightly differently. And so, yeah, it doesn't feel too unfamiliar, but it feels just different enough to provide that variety. What An Everyday Story does exceptionally well, though, is environmental storytelling. And that's because each chapter takes place in a specific part of this character's life. So originally you'll start off as a child and you'll explore your parents' relationship, and you'll see your parents moving in and out of frames as you move around the rooms of your house, and kind of going down into Dad's basement and seeing the chaos down there whilst Mum's upstairs in the living room playing the piano, for example. Or it could be that when you're trying to explore yourself as a child in the playground and you've got all your toys that are kind of, you're navigating in and around them, and they're exploring how your dad went to the army. So all like the Green Man toy soldiers then come to life, and it's as if you're part of a war memory that your dad shared with you that's kind of lodged in your brain. And that environmental storytelling is fantastic, and the way how An Everyday Story explores all of that in creative and new ways really sells the overarching story of, I guess, the melancholy of life and what you aim for and wish for, and how life's experience shapes your future. And then you can kind of look back on it and go, that's what made me not commit to love, or that's what made me have a difficult childhood. And you're kind of piecing together all of these emotional jigsaw puzzle pieces as the story plays out, and it's great at the way how it does it, using that environmental storytelling and a sharp narrative that plays over the top as you hit certain elements of the level as you progress. Where An Everyday Story doesn't quite hit that high level watermark is in the puzzle platforming. By design, these trinkets don't have really precise controls. The boat, I would argue, actually is probably the best handling one, because it's going along on a single plane and it's precise and exacting to a point. But the tin soldier has no legs, so it's hopping. And so the hop doesn't always land nicely when you're trying to do a jump on an angular platform, and so you slide off. I found the tin soldier and the bat origami character sometimes would get stuck in scenery, which would require a quick restart. And thankfully, respawn checkpoints are quite generous in this game, so it doesn't put you far back, but it started to become a regular occurrence. And quite often, It's less around the puzzle element of this game, because quite often that's just around fetch quests, and what you're doing is moving between different 2.5D planes, going into and away from the camera at certain points to go and find those things, retrieve it, and then get back to where you need to get to progress. That's fine. It's the actual precise platforming and the signalling of what and where you need to go is quite hit and miss. And what I mean by this is that there's a part of a boss level where you're chased by like an evil slinky type thing that's diving up and trying to jump on you. And you're not told that this is what's going to happen. You have to die to experience it. But then you're not given any chance to escape any of its attacks. And so because you're busy worrying about that, I couldn't see where I needed to go next in the level and was stuck trying to battle a boss that I didn't actually need to battle, I needed to run away from. I couldn't run away from it because when I did spot a platform eventually that I could jump to, I was playing as a tin soldier that kept sliding off it because the jumping is slightly inconsistent. And so I then didn't think I was doing the right thing and was stuck there for a good 25 minutes going, well, how do I beat this boss? And it wasn't until I went online and saw someone try something else, and I was like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. And that happens quite often where the game seems to randomise like attacks or make a like duck through something really, really tight. And I'm thinking there's a scene where you're trying to crawl through a piano and the keys are just smashing up at random. There's another one where there's someone with a skipping rope where it really looks like you can get past them, but you physically can't. But because you've had this experience repeatedly where it feels like you can't, but actually eventually you can, you keep wandering into these dead ends and thinking, am I supposed to progress this? Am I not? If that was better choreographed, I think my enjoyment of the puzzle platformer element of this game would have increased quite a lot. And so, whilst I don't usually attribute scores to specific parts of the game, I think it's helpful in this case in that the story part of this is a good 8 out of 10, whereas the platforming is more of a 6.5 out of 10, which is why I'm going somewhere in the middle with my end scores. I think people know I really dislike trying to score games like this, but there is a real like shining high watermark for the story element, and the puzzle platforming just doesn't quite meet that exact high level. And so I just need to be very, very clear about why I enjoy this game and where some of its pitfalls lie. If that still appeals to you, and I think it still will for quite a lot of people, An Everyday Story is a rough around the edges, emotional adventure that made, like, it resonates with me. I'm 40 now, and I'm already looking back at things going, should you have done that? Was that a good move? And you always have that kind of melancholy and ennui around, did I do the right thing? Have I made the right choices? Do I have any regrets in life? And this kind of taps into that, and I think that's relevant for anyone from the Middle Ages upwards, and also from a younger audience that's more, I guess, emotionally mature. You'd be able to experience this and kind of not take it as a warning shot, but as a thing to consider as you move forward in the future, to make sure that you don't have life's experiences that overly shape how you perceive your future. So yeah, An Everyday Story, out now.
Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/Higher Plane Network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.